I just got a notice that we are currently live streaming, but not yet recording. We are currently now recording.
Do we have Anthony?
We don't have Anthony, and it just turned 12:15 now. So Chair, defer to you in terms of starting.
I'll give it another minute. All right, let's get a move on here then. My name is Darius Shanfar. I am chair of the City of Albany Industrial Development Agency Finance Committee. I'm going to call this meeting to order at 12:16 on today, November 10th. We have a quorum with Susan Petto, Lee Eck, and myself here. We are waiting to see if others from the board will join us. The first order of business is I would ask for, since the minutes have been previously distributed, to ask for a motion to dispense with the reading and accept them as presented.
So moved.
Susan, Lee, second. Any comments, questions, deletions, corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Minutes have been accepted. Next order of business, we don't have a report from the chief financial officer today or any unfinished business. We do have some new business though. The first order of business is Albany Medical Center, a discussion, excuse me, while I put my phone on mute. Albany Medical Center for discussion and possible recommendation on an amended pilot deviation resolution. As I understand it, Albany Med is seeking to basically make the contract, the pilot agreement contract, more in line with current circumstances, as well as the agreement itself as contemplated. I think I'll let the IDA staff to explain this in a little more detail for us.
Great, and we'll have Andy give an overview.
Sure, thank you, Chair. Staff did provide a detailed summary to the board, and what I would like to do is try to go through a little bit more of a condensed version of that for the benefit of everyone here. I will also note that representatives from the medical center, namely Phyllis Hathaway and Matthew Jones, are here with us today. As background, in 2014, the City of Albany IDA approved the AMC Medical Office Building project located at 391 Myrtle Ave. The project involved a pilot agreement relating to the privately leased portions of the building, as well as tax exempt and taxable bond issuances to finance the building's construction, which were concurrently approved through the City of Albany Capital Resource Corporation. Because the medical center anticipated having both private and tax exempt uses in the building fluctuating over time, the pilot agreement was laid out in two scenarios for calculating the pilot payments, which were generally based on the percentage of private occupancy in the building. Per the pilot agreement, the project was required to submit annual tenant affidavits certifying to the building's square footage to determine which of the two scenarios would be used. However, over time, as the percentages of private occupancy have shifted, the formula has become increasingly difficult to administer each year. This has also resulted in significantly more square footage of the building being taken up by the medical center space versus private occupancy than was originally anticipated. Going back to the bonds, further in 2019, the City of Albany Capital Resource Corporation approved a reallocation of the tax exempt and taxable series of the bonds to align with the allocation of the actual hospital's private tenant use at the time. The current request at hand of the agency involves an amendment to the pilot agreement to first reduce the amount of square footage subject to the pilot agreement, and second, provide that the scenario 2 pilot structure will be in effect for the remainder of the pilot term through 2028. Among other things, this amendment will align the pilot agreement with the reality of the hospital use, private tenant use breakout of the medical office building. And it will also reconcile the pilot agreement allocation with the current updated bond allocation. And with that, I will certainly turn the floor over to the hospital and/or committee members with questions.
Is there anything else from staff on this?
I think by way of background, that's a great summary that Andy had walked through. We do have some additional information that we can go through related to the financial history of the transaction. But Phyllis, if you'd like to give a little bit of an overview from the hospital's perspective, that'd be great.
Sure. Well, I'm Phyllis Hathaway. I'm Vice President for Treasury Services here at Albany Med. First of all, we do want to thank you very much for including us on this agenda and for considering our request. We have really appreciated our partnership with the City of Albany IDA over the years. And in the case of the 391 Myrtle Avenue Medical Office Building, this partnership has helped to make our project more feasible. The medical office building on Myrtle Avenue is a really important part of our campus here at the City of Albany. It includes many Albany Med users who provide a lot of clinical services to the community. And some of these services include pediatric neurology, pediatrics, OBGYN, vascular services, spine treatment, ophthalmology, and a variety of other things. Our users occupy approximately 80%, if not a little more, of the building, and the remainder of the building is occupied by community care physicians. So we are requesting this amendment to have the pilot agreement more closely align with the actual Albany Med users in the building. And in addition, this amendment would help make the pilot agreement align with our tax exempt bond financing. So we'd be happy to answer any questions, but overall, we're extremely appreciative of your consideration of this request.
Okay, thank you. I will say that I do have some questions for council regarding the contract interpretation and as it relates to this request. So I don't know if it's appropriate to go through executive session right now to discuss that, or if there's anything else we want to discuss in open session prior to doing that.
I have a quick question that it might be helpful to have Phyllis's input on as well, though it's mostly for staff. So inevitably, projects like this are going to have variations that cannot be anticipated at the time that we approve the projects. Even if we make this correction at this time, there's still an opportunity going forward that this could swap back, right? Especially given that they had anticipated more smaller leases and instead got 2 larger leases that really kind of tipped the equation. So Does the solution anticipate the possibility that this could, that this ratio that we're looking at now could flip again? And is this like, longer term and systemic solution that we need to be looking at, that we can discuss more in executive session, but for this particular project, is this something we should be considering at this time?
I can just make a comment that it's very unlikely, if not almost extremely unlikely, that we would want to lease any more of the building to an outside entity, given the demands we have for space here on the campus. So if anything, there is a continual assessment of making sure we have enough space to provide all the services we want to provide.
And are you also somewhat restricted by the CRC contracts that you're engaged in making those types of ratio adjustments as well?
In terms of the bond financing?
Uh-huh.
I think what would happen is we would just continue to pay taxable rates on a portion of the building where we're really occupying it by Albany Med.
No, but Susan, if I may, this is Joe Scott. There is a prohibition on changing the allocation because of the way the tax exempt bond structure was modified. So if there was a need or a desire on the part of the hospital to increase the allocation of the building to for-profit activity, that would impact the tax exempt status of the bonds.
Okay.
Right.
And so we'd have to go back and reverse what was done before. Given that the bonds are held by a single bank, one could do that. And again, if there was a movement back, unless the pilot was changed, it would, and again, I don't want to get over my skis here, but it would seem that if property that is owned by the hospital but is occupied by a for-profit, that would be subject to real property tax in the ordinary course, and there'd be no abatement because the pilot agreement would have been modified and not provided an abatement for that portion of the office tower.
Okay. So in this case, that financing does help to give us some certainty as we move forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right, but I do want to just say that it's unlikely we would want to lease the space to other users.
Got it. Thank you.
All right. So I would actually call for a motion to go into executive session so that we can discuss legal ramifications. And perfect. Lee, second?
Yeah, second, sorry.
Okay. All right.
And
All
so
in
that would
favor?
be to exempt, sorry, Darius, just to clarify, an exempt session to seek advice of counsel would also qualify for an executive session to discuss the financial history of an organization.
Yes.
For that, just to clarify the motion.
Yes. Thank you, Sarah.
Sure thing.
So a motion on the table, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Night.
Great, and go ahead and join the breakout room if you've been invited. We'll have staff, council, and the board members in that room.
Oh, so I hit join, right?
Thank you.
So Darius, to start, I would note for the record as people are coming in that no action was taken during executive and exempt session. And then turn it over to you from there.
Yes, motion to go out at 12:47, I believe, and Lee and Susan first and second that the motion to come back. So,
Nope. That was Tony, actually.
oh, sorry. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. So I think no action was taken, but we had a discussion with council about some of the legal issues surrounding this request here. I think we are not going to take action at this point in time. However, we're tasking staff with developing some more information on this, and we will be able to put forth, I think, a more specific resolution at our next meeting in December to kind of spell out what is really being asked for here and pertinent information so that the public can be fully informed. I think, is there anything else that I missed here, Sarah?
The only other thing that was discussed that I think that the committee wanted to mention is that staff will be preparing with council a notification to the relevant taxing jurisdictions that this matter is under consideration by the board and expected to have action taken on it at the December meeting.
Thank you. Yes. All right. On to the next order of business. We're all set to move on?
I think we are.
Okay.
As we move into this, I do want to restate the staff's recusal from matters related to the Liberty Park application, as Capitalize Albany is the applicant on this matter. So we will recuse ourselves from. Sorry, Darius.
Should we just go through agency update and compliance update first, then we'll put Liberty Park at the end?
At your discretion, if you'd like to do that, we can certainly jump there.
Let's. I guess I'll ask for a motion to go out of order here and bring in other business before Capitalize, before the Liberty Park update.
So moved.
Sarah, Susan, second.
Second.
Lee, all's in favor?
Aye.
All right. Let's make this a little easier for you. We'll go to agency update first.
Sure thing. So quickly under agency update, due to its time sensitivity, we'll talk about it next week at the board meeting too. We have been notified that the interviews have been scheduled for potential new members of the board, and those have been scheduled for the Economic Development, Planning and Land Use Committee meetings on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. That's the 16th and 17th at 5:30. We're still waiting on additional information for Susan and my participation in those meetings, but we anticipate that all of the applicants are being interviewed from that. Again, I don't have full information on that. We're trying to get a little bit more clarity, but Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. And so if they make decisions quickly, we may even have new board members prior to the close of the year in those slots. So moving forward, we'll see what the outcome is there. And then in terms of crossover compliance and agency update, thank you to those of you who have registered with us for the EDC's IDA Academy next week. We have a number of you registered. I will point out there are a number of very interesting sessions, not the least of which is the 10:15 ABO training. So for those of you who haven't taken it or who would like a refresher, that's at 10:15 during that session and will count for that. So if you haven't registered, I think everybody on this call is already registered. We do have a number of the team registered for that day-long academy as well. I don't think anything else needs to come before finance. We'll have additional updates at the board meeting next week. Tom, am I missing anything?
No, I just wanted to say that we did provide the board members that have registered for the IDA conference. We provided emails to MYS EDC, so you should have received some information about the Zoom link for that meeting. So if you have not, please let me know after the meeting and I can follow up with them. And the only other thing I had on compliance update was to just loop back on 1415 Washington. This is a project that came to the board for approval in September. Just wanted to report back that they have secured their all of their planning approvals, and so we should expect them to now move into the closing phase.
Terrific. Thank you. Anything on compliance?
That's it.
All right. Well, then I guess we'll go back to Liberty Park acquisition issue. And I think staff will now retire from the call today. from the
Darius,
Zoom.
before we go, I
Yeah.
don't think I've received any email from anybody else for the ABO training. So if
Okay.
if you could check on that, Tom,
Will do.
just before you head out. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I'm not finding mine either, so if you could just send it to everybody, Tom, when you do again, that would be really helpful.
I will
Thank
follow
you.
up with them and loop back.
Appreciate it. And
Great,
I'll
and so-
recuse myself as well from the Liberty Park discussion due to my former membership on Capitalize Albany Corp.
And we'll-
And we're
And
also
Anthony,
moving,
correct?
excuse me, we're also moving Tony out also into the waiting room. So
Yeah.
Susan and Tony will go into a waiting room.
Great. And just for transparency, we did have any members of our team who are in the conference room at 21 Lodge are going to also exit that room. I know you can't see everybody on camera, but we won't have staff in there as well. So
I
with
see
that,
Joe all
guys,
by his lonesome.
staff will
All right.
leave. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's up at the top. You see him?
All right. So we should have.
Yep, just 1 second, Darius. Tony is still
Okay,
there.
he's still on. Yep.
Okay, great. So
Great.
we're in open session. As I indicated, with respect to the Liberty Park matter, there's really two issues that we want to address today. One is consideration of the retaining of a surveyor in connection with creating a map, if you will, or a description of the parcel to be acquired. And the second is an update on the status of the litigation. The status of the litigation should be done in executive session, and my partner Chuck Malcolm is here for that discussion. But with respect to the surveyor issue, my thoughts there, Darius, are that like we did with the appraisal firm, we did an informal RFP. So if we got direction from the finance committee to move forward with that, with some luck, if you will, or with some efficiency, we'll be in a position to have names for the board, the full board, to consider at the meeting next week. We've identified several surveyors that have significant experience in the area, and we're going to ask them, assuming that the finance committee wants us to move forward, we would ask them for a proposal with respect to costs and also with respect to the time required to prepare the information for us.
And that would be required to prepare if we acquire the property.
Correct.
It's the
Yep.
document you file to vest title in the property with the county clerk.
Right. Yeah, so I think we should do that. I don't think, we don't need a motion from here, but yes, I think we should go out to essentially RFP for that.
Great. So
Lee,
we'll take
Yeah.
the necessary steps. I'm sorry, Lee, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's fine. I was just going to concur with Darius, do what we did before, keep it up, as best we can. So.
Great. Okay, so we'll move forward on that. And unless there's any more discussion with respect to the surveyor issue, I would suggest that you entertain a motion to go into executive session, and then Chuck can give us an update or give you an update on the status of the litigation and what's transpired over the last couple of weeks.
So moved at 12:58. Lee, second?
Yep.
I guess we're both in favor, so aye.
All right.
Yes.
Yep.
You're now in executive session. I think you have to join on your computer.
And we are back-ish. We're back.
We are recording again. Not much I see.
Okay. Coming out of executive session, we're in executive session to discuss the Liberty Park acquisition issue. Received an update of the litigation. Nothing to report out, nothing, no action was taken, and we moved out of executive session at 1:08 upon my motion and Leak second. I think that's all the business we have for today. So unless there's anything else, I would call for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Anthony, Lee second.
Second, yep.
The last chance to stay in the meeting.
Yeah, Darius, sorry, there was a little bit of a lag when we came out of executive session. You just reported that there was no action taken in executive session and that we're back at 1:10, and then you asked for a motion to adjourn. Okay, got it.
Yes, correct.
And who moved for the adjournment and who seconded?
Anthony,
Moved.
Yep.
Anthony, then Lee.
Got it. And any objections?
We're waiting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, no objections. We're done.
All right. Thank you. Good meeting.
Thank you, everybody.
Everybody have a great day.
Be well.
Take care.
Bye-bye.